Jesus, Joy or Disturbance. That's the title of my message this morning. Now, we know that Jesus is a historical figure. There really was a person that came by the name of Jesus Christ who was and still is our Messiah. Now, everyone, sooner or later, will encounter Jesus face to face. Whether you believe in Him or not, whether He is your personal Savior or not, every single person will encounter Jesus Christ. The only question really we have is, we have to make a decision how we're going to encounter Jesus Christ. Will it be with joy, or will we be disturbed by that encounter if He is not our Lord within this lifetime? Now, because Jesus Christ is God, we cannot have we cannot afford to have a middle of the road attitude towards God and towards this person called Jesus Christ. See, He is God. And whether we like it or not, we will face Him and we will give an account of our lives to Him. And so we cannot take this person lightly. You cannot live your life as though He did not exist. Now, as I was going through the scriptures, I've learned through the years that there's something completely amazing about this person called Jesus Christ. He will either become a great source of joy, or He will become a great source of sorrow. In Luke chapter 2, this is what it says in verse 10. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid. I bring you good news that will cause great joy for all the people. An angel came and showed himself to Mary and said, 'Don't be afraid, because I bring you news that will bring great joy.'" This figure called Jesus Christ will become a source of great joy to many people. Not to everyone, but to many. Those who will choose to surrender their lives to Jesus Christ as their personal Lord and Savior, He will become a source of great joy. And even though we go through trials, even though we go through tests, we go through some difficult times, it doesn't mean just because Jesus becomes your Lord that everything is going to be smooth. There will be times of suffering. There will be trials. There will be stormy days, like Peter experienced when he got out of the boat and walked on water. It was during a stormy day, or a stormy night, I should say. And when we keep our eyes on the Lord, we will be able to walk on water. We will be able to, by His grace, go through whatever storm comes our way, but we got to keep our eyes on Him. And when we pass through the storm, when we pass through the valleys, when we pass through the fire, the Bible tells us that there will be great joy on the other side. He will be a source of great joy. But unfortunately, coming face to face with this person called Jesus will not always be a source of joy for everyone. Some people will not like their encounter with Jesus. In Matthew chapter 2, this is what it says. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem, in Judea, during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw His star when it rose and had come to worship Him." Now listen to verse 3. It says, "When King Herod heard this, he was disturbed." When King Herod heard this good news that there was a king that was born, he was disturbed. This news was not a news of great joy to him. He was disturbed. And the Bible goes on and it says, and all Jerusalem with him. This news of a king that was born became a source of sorrow. It became a source of disturbance. It disturbed some people. This same person that was born brought great joy to some and great disturbance to others. Now the Bible says that Magi went to King Herod. Magi are not kings. We have this celebration called the Three Kings. First of all, they're not kings, and secondly, they're not three. Nowhere in the Bible does it talk about three. There were three kinds of gifts. And so the assumption was made that there were three kings, or three men. But they were not kings, they were not three. They could have been three, but the Bible doesn't say. Now, the reason why they are wise men, first of all, they were astrologers, and they studied the stars. Or I should say astronomers, and they studied the stars, and they discovered this star, and they realized, they discerned that there was something special about this star. Whatever revelation they received, they knew that this star was connected to the birth of a figure that would be so literally astronomical, someone that would be so special that they had to travel. When the Bible says when Jesus was born, there was a star that showed over where his manger was. From the day he was born, these Magi started their trip to go to this king who was born. And of course, we saw the presentation of the kids, and there were some shepherds by the hill. And when the angels came and they said, "Glory to God in the highest and peace to all men," they rejoiced at this news, and they ran to look at this thing that happened. And the wise men from the east somewhere started their journey when this star shone in the sky. Now this is very important to understand, because we miss this in the Christmas story. A lot of people miss this in the Christmas story. I think the reason why they are wise is not so much because they just discerned through this astronomical body called the Star of Bethlehem. But I think the reason why they are wise is because they sought a person. Not just any person, but a king. I believe that wise people today still seek out the king. The Bible says to seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. Jesus is the righteousness of God. We seek him above all else. And that's what makes us wise. It's not about how much money you have. It's not about your degrees. It's not about your popularity with people. The truly wise people are those who to this day still seek a king. They sought out, these Magi, they sought out someone because he was a king. They sought out someone that they could follow. They sought out someone that they could submit themselves to. They sought out someone who had the power to save them. That's what makes them wise. That's what makes people to this day still wise. This Jesus that was born was not just any person. He was not just a priest or a rabbi, even though he was these things, but he was a king, wrapped in the flesh of a little child, but still a king. And we need to understand that a king deserves our submission. One might even say demands our submission and obedience. It's just that this king called Jesus, he doesn't demand our obedience. He delights in our obedience. He doesn't force us to obey, but there are consequences when we don't. But he doesn't force us. He wants our obedience to be one that is born out of love. And so we willingly and humbly submit our wills and our lives to this King. The King of the Jews, the King of the Gentiles, the King of all men. They sought someone who, these magi sought someone who would lead them, someone who would change them. And that's the thing about Jesus. When you encounter Jesus, there will always, if the encounter is legitimate, if the encounter is real, there will always be change. You cannot be the same person after encountering Jesus. Let me show you. In Matthew chapter 2, verses 11 and 12, this is what it says. And when they had come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary, his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And then they had opened their treasures. They presented gifts to him, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Then, being divinely warned in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed from their own country, for their own country, another way. The Bible says, and when they had come into the house, the Bible doesn't say they came to the manger. They came to a house. Many times when you look at the Belens, right? Sometimes they have the three kings and Jesus in a manger. Jesus in a stable. But that's not what the Bible teaches us. And this is what a lot of people miss. The Bible says when they had come into the house, they were now living in a house, not in a stable anymore. Jesus was not in a manger. And the Bible says they saw the young child. Not the young infant, not the young baby, a young child. I looked this up in the Greek. And the Bible says that the Greek word for child, paidion, means little boy or girl. It means toddler. The Greek word for infant or baby is brephos. And that's not the word that was used. So we're looking at a little boy. And the reason why we know he was a little boy was because when Herod found out that the Magi had moved and taken another route home, in his anger, he had all the boys, 2 years old and younger, based on the estimation of the Magi. These were the ones he had killed. So Jesus was about 2 years old. I want you to understand that because of this murderous plot of Herod, Jesus grew up without contemporaries. He had no barkada to grow up with because everyone his age was put to death. Everyone. At least every boy his age. He did not have anyone his age or younger, at least for the next 2 years. But I find something here that also a lot of people miss, and it's this. The Magi saw Jesus, the child, with his mother. 2 of them. The child with his mother. You know his mother is Mary. And then look at what they did. They saw the child with his mother, and they bowed down and worshipped him. The Bible does not say they bowed down and worshipped them, Jesus and Mary. They worshipped only him. Nowhere in the Bible will you see Mary receiving any kind of worship. In fact, in Luke chapter 1, Mary calls out to Jesus, who was still in her womb, my Savior. Mary understood that she too needed a Savior. She was not immaculate. She was not sinless, as some people teach, or as one religion teaches. And so these wise men, and they are wise, they knew who to worship. They worshipped Him. And they opened their treasures, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. 3 gifts. And that's why some people think there are 3 kings. Because only kings can give gifts like this. But not so. When some theologians, I don't know how they did it, but they did some math and tried to figure out how much gold, frankincense, and myrrh were given to Jesus. Understand that during the time of Christ, herbs had more value than gold. They were more expensive. So they had gold, they had frankincense, they had myrrh. These were herbs, and these were very expensive. These theologians, they said the gifts that were given to Jesus must have cost something like upwards of $500 million. That's a lot of gifts. That's why they were wise men. And so I saw 3 things. 3 things that happen when you encounter Jesus. The first, you will either worship Him or you will want to kill Him. The Magi worshiped Him. Herod wanted to kill Him. He was disturbed. That's what happens when you come face to face with this man called Christ. You will either fall down in worship or you will reject Him. You have to make a choice. You have to make a choice. But we will have to deal with this person called Jesus. You will have to make a choice. A true encounter with Jesus will always cause you to either worship Him or reject Him. There is no middle of the road like, well, yeah, I don't hate Him, but I just don't serve Him. Jesus said, if you're not for me, you are against me. If you are not gathering, you are scattering. There is no middle ground with this person called Jesus Christ. Those who reject Him, that's where the whole idea of atheism came. If you don't accept Him, I will reject Him. In fact, I'll go a step further. I don't even believe there is God. Atheism. So I've come to discover that really there are 2 kinds of people on earth. Those who believe in God through Jesus Christ and atheists. There's no middle ground. Either you believe in God, and if you believe in God, you must believe in Jesus Christ. Because there is no other Messiah, there is no other Savior. All other gods are fake. It's only this one, Jesus. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one goes to my Father except through me. You cannot go to God any other way except through Jesus Christ. And when we reject Him, we are rejecting God. And when you reject God, by definition, you are an atheist, even if you believe that there is some God. You're still an atheist. In that sense, still an atheist. Believers are those who choose to live their lives for God through Christ. And atheists are those who try to discredit God one way or another. Whether by believing in another God, believing in another mediator, believing in some other creatures outside of God, the Father and His Son, Jesus Christ, and living for them instead of Jesus Christ. I consider that atheism still, because they reject Christ. They live their lives as though Jesus did not exist. They live their lives independently of God. And let me tell you something, church. Some of those atheists are in church. Because coming to church does not make you a Christian. It's submitting your life to the Lordship of Jesus Christ. That's what makes you a Christian. Anything else is a lie. Jesus was born for this reason. And that's why He either becomes a source of great joy or a disturbance. And if He remains a disturbance, we will want, like Herod, to execute Him, to kill Him, at least to get Him out, if not out of our lives, out of our minds. But the second thing that happens when we encounter Christ is that we become, if it's a true encounter, we become givers. It's a natural fruit of worship. When you worship Him, assuming you don't reject Him, when you worship Him, you will give. They came with gifts. Understand how far these magi came from. They saw the star when Jesus was born. By the time they met Him, He was about 2 years old. That's how long they've been traveling. That's how long they've been seeking this King. And so when they met Him, the joy that they felt, this is the one, we have been seeking Him for 2 years. This is the one. And so they bowed down and they worshipped Him and they gave gifts. A true believer becomes a giver. You cannot help it. It's part of our DNA to give. And the thing is, giving in the Bible is not just about money. Think about it. What will God do with your money when He owns everything? What will He buy? What can we give God that will really please Him? Even if you had $1 billion pesos and you gave all of that to God, you think that would please Him? I don't think so. To Him, 1 billion pesos, that's just all paper. It's just ones and zeros in some bank that may not even exist. There's really only one gift that can please God, as it were. The gift of your life. Because if you can give your life, you can give everything else. That's why the Bible says, if you want to follow me, first deny yourself. If He has your life, He will have your wallets. If He has your life, He will have your wills. If He has your life, He has everything else. The reason why some people cannot even be faithful with their tithe, the reason why some people are not generous or even cheerful in their giving is because their hearts are not completely Christ's yet. They're holding on to some things that they have not yet submitted to Christ. Because if they have, then God can ask for anything and we will gladly give, because we've come to realize we owe nothing. Everything belongs to you, including our lives. If we understood what that means, we would not even be disobedient. Why would we even say, but Lord, I don't have time? Why would we say, I don't have time, when He is the creator of time and He's the one that tells us what to do with our time? what to do with our time. And if He says, I want you to go to this place and do this in this place, we cannot say no. Because He owns our lives. That's why you and I, we have to do some real thinking. Romans chapter 12 says this, verse 1. Therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. Listen, this is your true and proper worship. Worship involves the surrender of your lives in obedience. That's the greatest gift we can give. Not our money, our lives. Because if He has your life, He has your money. Your money will be a lot easier to give away. Your things will be a lot easier to give away when your life belongs to Jesus Christ. But when you hold on to these things. But there's a third thing that happens when we have a true encounter with Jesus Christ. Luke chapter 2 says this. When they had seen Him, they spread the word concerning what had been told them about this child, and all who heard Him were amazed at what the shepherds said to them. When they had seen Him, there was an encounter. When they had seen Him, this angel that gave this word and said, there is this baby, a king. What did the shepherds do with that news? They spread it. They spread it. They evangelized. They shared the good news. They shared the gospel. I think it was Spurgeon, Charles Spurgeon, that said, any person who does not share the gospel cannot be a true Christian. I tend to believe that. Because if you encountered Christ and you understand where you came from and where you were headed, how can you not talk about what Jesus did to you? How can you not talk about how bad you used to be? And because of the grace of this man called Christ, He saved you from an inevitable and eternal separation from you. How can you not talk about that? Jesus will disturb you. And when He does, the question we need to ask is, will I receive that with great joy and surrender myself to Him? Or will I reject? So we are left with one question. And Jesus posed this question first to His disciples. In Matthew 16, when Jesus came into the region of Caesarea Philippi, He asked His disciples, saying, who do people say the Son of Man is? Who do people say? Jesus now is asking us, who do people say the Son of Man is? What is the opinion of other people? And it goes on to say, well, some say you are Elijah. Others say you are Jeremiah. Or some other prophets. And then Jesus brings the question home. And He turns to His disciples and said, but who do you say I am? Who do you say I am? And that's a question that you and I have to face. This may be the opinion of others. that Jesus is just a nice guy. Jesus is just a prophet. Jesus is just a good teacher. Jesus is a philosopher. Jesus is not even God. Jesus doesn't exist. That's what they say. But the question you and I have to face is this. Who do you say I am? Jesus puts it also this way. Who am I to you? Who am I in your life? Am I the king? Or am I just some other God that you can set aside and call on me when it is convenient? Call on me when you're in trouble. But when times are good, diyan ka lang, Lord, ha? I don't need you right now. Just stay there. Who do you say I am? Jesus came for this very purpose. See, the thing I love most about Jesus is that He is a source of great joy. Not just in tough times, but in good times. I find that I have learned over the years that I can be thankful in tough times. But I think a greater test, for me anyway, is to be thankful in good times. If you cannot be thankful in tough times, you will not be thankful in good times. Because it's in the good times when many people put Jesus on the shelf and they forget about Him. Remember this. The tests that come in tough times are easier to pass than the tests that come in good times. That's why the hard times come first. Because the hard times, that's for baby Christians. But when the wealth comes, when the blessing comes, baby Christians will fail. These are for the mature Christians. That's why He gives the easy tests first. And if we cannot keep our joy in tough times, if we cannot keep our praise in tough times, if we cannot be grateful in the difficult times, we will not be praiseful and thankful and grateful and joyful in the good times. Many people say it's easier to give thanks in the times of plenty. I don't think so. That's when most people stop praying. That's when most people backslide. That's when most people turn away in the good times. Not in the hard times. The hard times, many times we fall on our knees and we cry out to God because we need help. But it's when the good times come that we forget God. We don't pray as much. We don't read the Bible as much. We don't praise as much. We don't even come to church on time anymore in the good times. But in the tough times, we might even attend 2 services, even if it's the same message. But in the good times, we come only in the end. And that's the only time they come. May not be that for us. May we be found faithful in the tough times, and may we be found even more faithful in the good times. But that's why Jesus was born. To save us from our biggest enemy. Not the devil. Self. Nowhere in the Bible does it say to deny Satan, to deny the devil. Because He already said, I've made a public spectacle of Him on the cross. It's over. It's finished. I humiliated the devil on the cross. The Bible says, I defanged him. I took back everything that was mine, my authority. I took it back from him. The devil has no authority. He is finished. It is over. Our biggest enemy is not the devil. It's the self. And the devil uses the self. And he uses pride. That's why Jesus said, deny yourself. That's another way of saying, humble yourself. So your biggest enemy right now is sitting on your chair. And you see your biggest enemy every morning in the mirror when you wake up. The first person you see is your enemy. The one that refuses to humble himself or herself. The one who maintains his rights instead of submits in humility. So Jesus said, you want to follow me? First, deny yourself. And once you deny yourself, then you can do the second thing. Take up your cross. Daily. In the Gospel of Luke, he adds the word daily. You don't die just once. The cross is not something you wear around your neck. The cross literally is you dying every day. How? By humbling yourself. By giving in. Ikaw na ang tama, ikaw pa ang mali. Do you ever have that feeling? You know you're right. Ikaw pa magsasabi. But that's the way of Christ. That's the way of Christ. The way of humility. And you know what? Every time you humble yourself, it feels like dying. Sa totoo lang. So you better get used to it. Because the only way you can walk in humility is following the way of death. And that, my friends, is the very paradox of Christianity. It is in giving that you will have much. It is in dying that you shall live. It is in humbling yourself that you will be exalted. It is in serving others that you become the greatest leader in the kingdom of God. The world is upside down. Christ's way is the right way. Christ's way is the only way. This king was born about 2,000 years ago. A cute little baby, but a king. And he came to divine time, before Christ and after Christ. He came and disturbed all humanity by his birth. His very presence shook the whole universe. And we all have to face him. If not now, later on. But may we learn to face him now and bow our knee to him in humble submission. Because one day, if we maintain our pride, when we die, we will bow. The Bible says every knee will bow. Every knee will bow. Even the atheists' knees will bow, but this time in defeat. And they will realize and confess that Jesus is in fact Lord of all. And they will realize all these other gods are wannabes. All these other gods are fake. They don't even exist. Because there's only one to whom we must give account. Only one. Christmas today is about giving gifts. It's about Pasko na naman. It's about aguinaldo. It's about buying and receiving gifts. It's about bibingka and puto bongbong and hamon and queso de bola. And then we say, yes, Jesus is the reason for the season, but we don't seem to live that way. We just say it. Don't waste Christmas. Whether he was born in December, or in September, or in April, as other people say, it really doesn't matter. The point is, he was born. He was born. The Bible never celebrates Christmas. It never preaches on Christmas. Paul said, I preach Christ and him crucified, not and him born. But Christmas is bigger than Passover. But that's okay. That's okay. We're not here to say Christmas is demonic or anything like that. No. The fact is, Christ was born. And the question remains, who do you say I am? Who am I to you? And that's what I mean when I say, don't waste Christmas. Who do you say I am? Some of you here, perhaps, you were just invited to come because it's our Christmas service. And you heard we're going to have food. Lots of it. Especially lechon. What is Christmas without lechon? And we have the best lechon in town. See? And so some of you came for the food. But there is another food called the bread of life, who gave himself for us. So my friend, if you were here and you've never given your life to Jesus Christ, if you have never encountered this little child born in a manger, who was born a king, if you have never really submitted your life, maybe you said the sinner's prayer a long time ago, but you never lived your life as though he were the king of your life. Maybe now is a good time to recommit. Maybe not to be born again, because there's no such thing. Some of you need to be born again. Some of you need to just recommit your lives. And so if that's you, I want to pray for you. Let's not waste Christmas. Let the birth of this King count in your life. I'm going to ask everybody to close their eyes and bow their heads. We're going to pray. I want to pray first for those who need to surrender their lives to Jesus Christ and make him your Lord. And if that's you, join us as we pray. Let us pray. Lord Jesus, 2,000 years ago, you were born into this world and you put on flesh. Not just so you can say you were born, but so you can save us. So today, I surrender my life. I surrender my will to your lordship, to your kingship. Be my Lord, my God, my Savior, and my best friend. Thank you for saving me. Thank you for loving me. Teach me how to love you and to serve you all the days of my life. In Jesus' name. And now I want to pray for those of you who need to recommit your lives. Maybe you've been living your life where you call the shots. You live as though there were no king to submit to. Now is a good time. Christmas is a good time to recommit our lives. Join me as we recommit our lives together. Jesus, once more I ask, be my Lord and my King. Teach me how to humble myself. Teach me how to deny myself. So you can be King. You can be Lord over my life. You must increase and I must decrease until you are my all in all. Thank you for saving me. Thank you for your mercy and your grace. In Jesus' name, amen.